10-10-24.
Hello, my name is Joe Dorough. I'm from Pell City, Alabama. I am now 84 years old. 50 years ago, close to that, I experienced the tornado that came through Pell City, Alabama. I was a 34-year-old businessman, had an auto parts store, and it happened, I believe it was on a Friday, if I'm not mistaken, around a little after 4 o'clock. And at that particular time, I had been in business for 13 years in Pell City. All total, I've been in business about 65 years in Pell City. But this particular one, I had an auto parts store, and when the tornado came, we didn't have weather reports like we have in today's world, and we had no knowledge that it was coming through like it was. So routinely, I went up to the courthouse to register some property to have it assessed that I had bought. And I was in the courthouse when it happened, but my partner and his son that was in the building when it came, we had one metal desk in the office, and they got under that metal desk. And if I had been there, there wouldn't have been a room for three. Just two people got under that desk, and the whole building collapsed. The whole roof just come down on everything that was in it, kind of capturing the merchandise, but it also captured two souls under a desk. At the courthouse, I was the only man that was at the counter, and the rest of the ladies that was there, I remember Miss Sarah Bell. She always called me her tornado buddy after that, and we could see the jail from the windows of the courthouse. And I've heard people say that when you hear a tornado coming, it sounds like a train. Well, I got news for you. It's not the woo, 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 woo of the whistle. It's the clackety, clackety, clackety of the debris that's floating around and hitting the windows and all of that. That's where the sound comes in, like a train. And this thing hit real hard. I don't know why, but I made all those women lay down under their desk in the courthouse. But one lady decided she would leave because she was scared. And she got to the basement door, which was all glass, and it just exploded right there in front of her. It didn't injure her or anything, but her eyes got real big, and she came right back up and laid down too. And it didn't last all that long, and when it was over, we could see the jail out there, but we saw a Greyhound bus laying sideways in the jail yard, and the whole town was in disarray. And we saw trees down, we saw all that, and I wondered about my wife and children at home. I live close to Stimley Bridge on Cedar Lane in Cropwell, and they didn't even know what happened down there, thank God. And I finally made my way back over to my business, and I found the two people under the metal desk, and the whole roof had cracked, had fell in, and there were still power lines out switching like that and making sparks, touching one of our delivery trucks. As a matter of fact, that the delivery truck didn't have a place on it that didn't have a dent in it, and a place where power lines had burned it and all of that. We had such good neighbors that I already had a building ready on the outside, and I still own it. I rented it out to the Wellway. Karen Miller is the one that rents it, and I already had it fixed on the outside at K.O.'s Body Shop. Well, all of our neighbors came, cut the roof away, got all the parts that was left. They were all just about out of the boxes and everything, and they took them up and piled them in the middle of the floor of the new building. So our loss wasn't, all that great as far as material things go. And we're just thankful to the Lord that we had this extra building ready. And it wasn't long till my wife and kids came up and told me they were safe, and I was so glad of that. I got friends, my wife's from Raglan, and people from Raglan said, "We got some of your council checks up here if you want them back." I said, "No, we don't need them." And the tornado was headed that way. At that time, I went to the Methodist church, and it took half the roof off of the Methodist church, which is only 2 blocks away from my business there. And it was a devastating storm, but I don't think anybody was killed in Pell City. Now, maybe 1 or 2 injured, but we were very fortunate and lucky that we weren't harmed, and we were glad of the steel. It was an old Army surplus desk, and you know how military desks are made. They're made real strong, and this one had sunk down about 6 inches because the roof was so heavy. But if it had gone down any further, it would have been disastrous for us. But we're so glad of that. Like I say, I've been in business in Pell City. My only claim to fame probably in Pell City is my mother and daddy started the steakhouse here in 1948. And so I've been around a long time. I am the last living founding director of Metro Bank. All the rest of them are dead, and I'm not far from it. Had a heart attack a couple of weeks ago. But it's fine. I'm doing great, and I'm glad to be here. But the storm that came, it did a lot of damage around town, but everybody just helped each other and worked together, and we got over that. And it was a catastrophe for sure, but it could have been a lot worse, so we're thankful for that.